Hey guys, Jeremiah with Steps Pressure Washing and More. I want to talk to you about a question I get all the time as well. I see in every single forum I'm a part of online is how to price pressure washing jobs. And one of the biggest factors here is no one can tell you exactly what the price should be for your business and for your area. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you my pricing structure and how I have developed my own prices so that I can easily adjust them as needed. As well, I'm going to give you the square footage breakdown as well as an hourly rate breakdown so that you can have both on hand. So depending on what kind of job you get, you know how to price it. If you guys are interested in starting a pressure washing business, or you are just enjoying some of the content that I'm putting out, make sure to click that subscribe button below. It really helps the channel out and helps keep these videos coming out regularly. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to tell you that you're going to need a price per square footage as well as a price per hour, because some things are just not going to fit into that cookie cutter of, you know, a 7,000 square foot home is going to be one price, but only one wall of it plus the garage is going to be another price. So just kind of figuring out how to find these prices is going to be really important. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to need to get out there and do some practice houses. If you've never been in business pressure washing before, you're going to need to go out and call out your friends and family and see if they can give you a chance to come out and wash their house. So just for this video, I'm going to go ahead and throw in there that our average size house is about 2,000 square foot, which actually is about our average square footage for my business. And I'm going to say it's going to take about 2 hours on average to wash that 2,000 square foot home. And that's going to include setup and breakdown time. So now that I know how long it's going to take me and how large my average house is, I can now start to figure out some of my averages. So if you're using sodium hypochlorite, which you absolutely should, you're going to need to figure out how much sodium hypochlorite it takes you to wash your average house. And then once you know what your average size house is, you can put an actual price tag on that. Then once you start to figure out things like, I've been doing this for 2 months and I'm spending on average, $10 per customer on insurance. Well, there you go. You can start factoring that into your price as well. So our business, when I first did these pricing, I put a $100 average expense per customer to run and operate the business. And what that covers is that covers the truck payment, that covers the insurance for the business, it covers gas for the pressure washer, buying new hoses, buying hose reels, anything that breaks has to get replaced, and that money has to come from somewhere. So our average, I guesstimated, was $100, which is what we're going to use for today, per customer all year. So if I have 100 customers, I'm going to expect to spend $10,000 to acquire those customers, operate the business in a legitimate function, and then purchase equipment and supplies and chemicals and gas and a truck and everything that goes with it in order to service those 100 customers. Then I'm going to add in our labor rates. These rates need to be high enough to where this is something that you can get for yourself or pay someone else, which will already be built in one day if you decide to take a step back. So say I get sick and I can't go pressure wash the 3 houses I have on the schedule for today. But I know that I can hire somebody, teach them how to do it, and have them kind of as a helper throughout the year. And if I need to call out sick, I can call up and say, hey, Bob, I need you to step in for me today. And his rate's already built in to our pricing. So whether I'm working or I have somebody else working, at the end of the day, it's going to get paid. So I'm going to say $25 per hour for wages. Now, your area might be a little higher. My area definitely is. People are not going to go out in the blistering sun in the middle of July for $25 an hour when they can get just about that same amount working at a business inside in the air conditioning. So back in 2020, when I made that as a price, it made sense. So I'm just going to use that because, again, I'm not giving you a price. I'm giving you the structure on how to set your own prices. So we'll say the average house was 2,000 square feet, took me 2 hours. So the average wages at $25 an hour is going to be $50. Then, now that you have all of your expenses paid and all of your labor paid, you need to make a profit, because this isn't just about you making money, this is about you growing a business. So the business has to make a profit. So we're going to include a $50 profit per house or per project for the business. So this is what the money is going to be used to pay the owner or to grow the business, to have as an emergency fund and have as a positive profit, so that when you have a negative profit month, you can balance that out by paying it with the money you've already made. And having that financial stability of having money in the bank is going to be important, especially when July hits and the phone stops ringing. If you've never gone through a summer, there is something called a summer slump, but that's for a different video. So having profit built into your price is very, very important. So now what we have is we have $100 on average we're going to say we spend on expenses, $50 on average we spend on wages, and then a $50 profit to put into the business for a later date. So I now know that my average cost for this house is going to be $200 for my 2,000 square foot house. I'm going to divide that $200 by the 2,000 square feet, and now I have a number of 10 cents per square foot. Now this is actually the number that I came up with when we started the business back in 2020, and that is the number that I started and I charged as I went out. Since then, I've had to raise that number because I've also found out $100 is not my average expense for each customer. And it has gone up and it has gone down. Last year, we actually had a pretty decent volume, and a lot of my fixed expenses really got washed out with the sheer amount of customers we had, but my average expense was still over $108 per customer. The year before that, we had an average expense of about $150 per customer. So a big warning to you guys out there who are thinking, I'll get a ton of customers as long as I just charge them $99, is your expenses are going to be pretty much your entire revenue. So I would highly advise not to do that. It's no longer, 2010, 2015, where you can get away with running a business at $100 a customer. There are some of you guys out there who have been doing this for a long time, who have a huge customer base that you can charge $99 per customer and actually make profit, because, last year I spent $46.50 per customer that I attained through paid advertising. Well, if you've already got an established client list and your word of mouth is 2,000 strong, then you probably don't need to spend that $46.50, and you can take that $46.50 out of your pricing structure. So I'm not saying you can't make profit at $99 per customer, but I'm saying if you're getting started, you're probably not going to be able to do that and make profit during your first year. All right, so now we know how much money we're going to charge per square foot of home. Let's go ahead and we're going to switch some of these numbers now that we have all of our averages in place. We're just going to do a quick tweak, and we're going to make that into an hourly rate. So now that we know that our average customer is going to be about a 2,000 square foot house that takes us 2 hours, we're going to say our 2 hours of work is going to cost $200. So we'll just split that in half, and we have an hourly rate of $100. And again, this is not how much you should charge. This is just a hypothetical. Once you have how much it's going to cost you to do per square foot, you can easily turn that into an hourly rate. So for this scenario, you've got $200 over here per customer. Now you have $100 per hour. So with $100 per hour, you can then go out and say, I'm only washing the storefront. I'm going to charge $350 because I think it's going to take me about 3.5 hours to do this. So running your machine, having that truck in use, having your labor and wages and your insurance, all of this is still included, because you can still only wash so much per day. So if it's going to take you 3.5 hours to do a job, that's about 175% of one pressure washing job. So you could spend that time during that day doing 2 jobs or 1 job. Your base should be the same either way. That way, at the end of a full day, you've made enough to cover all of your expenses, you've made enough to pay all of your labor, and you have made enough to have a profit for your business and something to show at the end of the day. So I hope this has helped in any way, shape, or form. If you've been in business for a while, like myself, you probably already know your averages. But if you do not know your averages, I highly recommend sitting down for just a few hours a day, getting some of this information together, And then you can set a price that's going to actually propel your business forward rather than keeping you stagnant or putting yourself in the hole because you're just working all the time and not making any profit. All right, that's all I got for you today. Y'all be safe out there.